Powerless Peter Parker. We start with a version of Peter Parker who never actually becomes Spider-Man in the traditional sense. In this alternate universe, when Peter is bitten by the infamous radioactive spider, it doesn't grant him any enhanced powers. Instead, the bite severely injures him, permanently paralyzing one of his arms. This traumatic event, paired with the untimely death of his Uncle Ben, sends Peter into a spiral of grief and depression. Rather than becoming a superhero, he becomes a symbol of resilience in a very human way. He undergoes therapy and still manages to carry the weight of responsibility, showing immense courage in the Powerless series. But without powers or gadgets, he's understandably the least effective when compared to the many spider-powered counterparts. Plain Peter Parker. In this timeline, the destiny of Spider-Man doesn't fall on Peter Parker at all. Instead, it's Flash Thompson who is bitten by the radioactive spider. Unfortunately, rather than learning the value of responsibility, Flash uses his newfound powers for personal gain, robbing, stealing, and bullying. What's worse, he forces Peter to act as his behind-the-scenes tech support, crafting gadgets to assist in his criminal activities. Eventually, Peter has enough. Realizing Flash is no hero, Peter designs a series of countermeasures and successfully defeats him. His ingenuity and bravery impress the Fantastic Four, who invite him to join their team. This timeline showcases Peter as a brilliant mind and strategist, even without spider powers. Stan Lee as Spider-Man. This one is more of a tribute than a canonical variation. Stan Lee, the legendary co-creator of Spider-Man, has been honored in several ways across different media. In some stories and games, like the Amazing Spider-Man video game, Stan is shown as taking on the mantle of Spider-Man himself, complete with voice acting by the man himself. The comic Spider-Geddon number 5 also features a version of the multiverse where Stan Lee becomes Spider-Man. It's a light-hearted and touching way to celebrate the legacy of the man who brought the web-slinger to life. Golden Sponge Cake Spider-Man. In perhaps one of the most ridiculous and delightful versions of Spider-Man, this version hails from a world where superheroes don't rely on brute strength or gadgets, but hostess snack cakes. That's right, Golden Sponge Cake Spider-Man fights crime by offering villains delicious pastries. Originally created as part of a real-world advertisement crossover in Marvel Comics, this character eventually earned a place in the official Spider-Verse lore. Sadly, relying solely on snack cakes isn't the most effective crime-fighting tactic, and this Spider-Man was one of the early casualties in the Spider-Verse comic event. Penelope Parker, Spidergirl. Penelope Parker is an 11-year-old girl who gains spider powers during a school field trip. Despite her young age, she wastes no time suiting up to fight crime. She shares many of the same abilities as Peter Parker, wall crawling, web slinging, and enhanced agility, but naturally lacks the physical strength and battle experience of older spider heroes. Though her potential is enormous, she's currently one of the weaker members of the Spider-Verse, simply due to her age and inexperience. Still, it's inspiring to see a child take on the mantle of heroism. Spider-Monkey. From the Marvel Apes universe comes Spider-Monkey, an actual monkey version of Peter Parker. Bitten by a radioactive spider just like the classic version, Spider-Monkey has similar abilities to his human counterpart, including web slinging and wall climbing. However, due to his simian nature, his cognitive abilities are limited compared to the more strategic and analytical Peter Parker. He's more agile than some spider people, but he struggles when fighting human-level threats, especially in cross-dimensional conflicts. Nonetheless, he adds a wild and fun twist to the multiverse. Pete Spider-Man. One of the most intentionally underwhelming variants, Pete Spider-Man, yes, that's his actual last name, is a mild-mannered certified public accountant. He's more concerned about his perfectly trimmed lawn than saving lives. While he does have powers, they're marginal at best, akin to those of an out-of-shape spider. Introduced in Edge of Spider-Verse number 4, he's portrayed as a comedic character and a sharp contrast to the heroism we typically associate with Spider-Man. His biggest battle might just be filing taxes before the deadline. Lady Spider, May Riley. In this steampunk-inspired universe, Aunt May isn't just a loving parental figure, she's a scientist, inventor, and superhero. After being bitten by a spider from her father's lab, May Riley doesn't develop any powers. Instead, the experience inspires her to fight back against societal constraints and male-dominated scientific circles. She constructs a mechanical spider suit with multiple limbs, reminiscent of the Iron Spider armor. While she doesn't have superhuman strength, her intelligence and engineering skills make her a worthy member of the Spider-Verse, albeit one with physical limitations. SpiderMan Noir. Set in the gritty backdrop of the 1930s, SpiderMan Noir is a detective-style version of Peter Parker who doesn't have the typical spider abilities. Instead, he's trained in hand-to-hand combat and possesses a sharp investigative mind, making him a cross between Batman and Sherlock Holmes. His gadgets give him a minor advantage, but he mainly relies on intellect and physical prowess. While he may lack flashy powers, Spider-Man Noir is one of the most grounded and effective Spider-Men in the multiverse due to his experience and no-nonsense attitude. Spider-Mom, Aunt May. In this alternate universe, Peter Parker forgets his lunch on the fateful day of the spider bite. Aunt May, always the caring guardian, shows up to deliver it, only to be bitten by the radioactive spider herself. Instead of being horrified, she embraces her new identity and becomes Spider-Mom. She fights crime with the same passion and powers as Peter but is naturally held back by her advanced age and fragile health. Despite these setbacks, Spider-Mom's dedication to justice is unwavering, making her a charming and heartfelt variant. Old Man Spider, Ezekiel Sims. Following the death of Peter Parker in this universe, his ally Ezekiel Sims takes up the mantle of Spider-Man. Now aged and weathered, he becomes the Old Man Spider, a role similar in tone to Old Man Logan. He still retains Peter's original powers and knowledge but is slower and physically diminished. Nevertheless, his wisdom and combat experience make him a valuable veteran in the fight against multiversal threats, and he remains a respected member of the Spider Army. Spider-Ham, Peter Porker. In one of the most beloved and ridiculous versions, Peter Porker is a cartoon pig who lives in a universe where every hero and villain is an anthropomorphic animal. With characters like Proctor Strange and Dr. Doom, Spider-Ham fits right in. He has nearly all the powers of traditional Spider-Man, web-slinging, wall-crawling, and super strength, but his small size and comedic style make him a less serious, though highly entertaining, hero. He plays a crucial comic relief role during the Spider-Verse events but should not be underestimated. Dr. Aaron Aman, the Spider-Man. Dr. Aaron Aman is a genius scientist who decides to experiment on himself by combining his DNA with that of a spider. Unlike Peter Parker, who gains powers by accident, Aman's transformation is entirely intentional. Unfortunately, the experiment doesn't yield significant physical results, so he builds a high-tech mech suit to enhance his abilities. While the suit makes him a formidable fighter, without it, he's just a regular human. Aman's version of Spider-Man explores themes of science, ambition, and determination, but he remains one of the more mid-tier heroes in terms of raw power. Hobgoblin, Peter Parker. In one of the darkest alternate timelines, Peter Parker loses Gwen Stacy to the Green Goblin and snaps. Overcome by grief and rage, he kills Norman Osborn in retaliation and abandons his Spider-Man identity. Consumed by vengeance, he adopts the mantle of the Hobgoblin, using fear as his weapon instead of hope. He becomes a brutal enforcer, far removed from the hero he once was. While his powers remain on par with the classic Spider-Man, his unstable mental state hinders his reliability. Ultimately, when approached by Gwen from another dimension, he sacrifices himself to save her, a final act of redemption. Each one brings a new flavor to the mythos, proving that the symbol of Spider-Man goes far beyond just one name or one face. Stay tuned for Part 2, where we'll explore even more of these fascinating web-slinging variants across the multiverse.